You ever wonder where the whole blueprint for modern fantasy came from? You know, the dragons, the elves, the heroes going on these epic quests against monsters lurking in the dark? Well, the answer is actually hidden in a lost world, one that's buried deep inside the roots of the English language itself. So, we're going to go on a little archaeological dig here into Old English, the language of the Anglo-Saxons. And trust me, this is not just about some dusty old books. This is about uncovering the foundational stories that basically shaped everything that came after. It's like finding the very DNA of English literature.
All right, first things first. To get these stories, you have to understand the world that made them. And this was not a world of quiet libraries and scholars. No, this was a world of warriors, of intense loyalty, and a constant, gritty struggle for survival.
And we're talking about a huge stretch of time here. It all kicks off around 450 CE, when Germanic tribes first sail over to Britain. It runs all the way up to 1066. And that year, that's a hard stop. That's the moment when everything changed, forever. And right in the middle of all that, we get the very first English poems, and of course, the creation of an absolute masterpiece like Beowulf.
This right here, this is their entire value system in a nutshell. Life was built around a code called comitatus, this really intense, unbreakable bond of loyalty between a warrior and his lord. Courage was everything. And kind of hanging over it all was this powerful concept of word, which is their word for fate. But here's the really crucial part. These stories weren't written down at first. They were performed. They were sung out loud in smoky mead halls.
So, what did this literature actually sound like? I mean, how did it feel? To get that, we need to meet the Scop, who was the official Anglo-Saxon poet, storyteller, and performer, all rolled into one.
Okay, so first, forget everything you know about rhyme. The absolute key to Old English poetry was alliteration. That constant repetition of sounds at the start of words gave the poetry this heavy, percussive, almost hypnotic beat. It was made to be heard, to be felt, to be chanted over the crackling of a fire. It was the engine driving the whole poem forward.
And they had this absolutely brilliant linguistic trick up their sleeves called the kenning. So instead of using a plain old word, they'd mash two words together to create this compound metaphor. It's like a mini riddle that's both super descriptive and really clever. It was basically a way for the poet to show off.
And this is where you really see how incredibly creative they were. I mean, why just say the sea when you can call it the whale road? A king wasn't just a king, he was a ring giver, the one who hands out treasure and secures loyalty. And my personal favorite, battle sweat for blood? Come on, that's just fantastic. It paints such a vivid, gritty picture.
So, we have the world, we have the sound. Now let's get to the good stuff. Let's unearth the treasures themselves. What were these poems actually about? Well, the themes are huge. You've got monsters, lonely exiles, and the growing influence of a new Christian god.
But here's the thing that just blows my mind. Pretty much the entire collection of Old English poetry that survived, we're talking hundreds of years of literary tradition, it all exists today in just 4 manuscripts. 4. That's it. That is all that made it through the fires, the wars, and the passage of 1,000 years.
And these are the 4 great treasure chests. In the Noel Codex, you get the heavyweight champion Beowulf. The Exeter book is where you'll find these beautiful, sad poems like The Wanderer, plus a whole bunch of really clever riddles. And then the Bracely and Junius manuscripts, they're packed with this powerful religious poetry that shows how that old warrior spirit was starting to merge with the new Christian faith.
You know, this literature really had 2 very distinct moods, like 2 sides of the Anglo-Saxon soul. On one side, you have the epic. Think Beowulf. It's all action, heroism, fighting monsters and protecting your people. But then, on the other side, you have the elegy. And poems like The Wanderer are incredibly personal, just full of sorrow for a lost world, for dead friends, and the deep pain of being in exile. It shows this amazing emotional depth.
This line from Beowulf, oh man, it just perfectly captures that tension at the very heart of their worldview. You've got word, fate, which is totally inescapable, right? But, and this is a huge but, your courage, what you do, that still matters. Fate might save you, but only if you prove you're worthy of being saved. It's this incredible mix of fatalism and free will.
And it wasn't just all epics and sad poems either. There was a huge variety here. You've got The Dream of the Rood, which is this incredible kind of mind-bending poem where the cross itself tells the story of the crucifixion. The Exeter book has almost 100 clever riddles in it, and they even kept detailed history in things like the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle. This was a really rich and diverse literary culture.
So,
If this world was so vibrant and creative, what happened to it? Where did it all go? Well, my final section here is all about the sudden, dramatic end of this era and the powerful echo that it left behind.
One date, one event, 1066. The Norman Conquest. An invasion from France that didn't just change who was king, it fundamentally shattered the world of Anglo-Saxon England.
And the process was just swift and total. The Norman invasion puts a new, French-speaking aristocracy in charge. All of a sudden, Old English is not the language of power anymore. The wealthy lords, the gearing givers who used to pay the poets, they're gone. And without that patronage, the whole literary tradition just withers away, and the language itself begins to change, absorbing thousands of French words and slowly morphing into what we now call Middle English.
But a world like this doesn't just vanish without a trace. It can't. It leaves an echo, a ghost that still haunts the language and the stories that we tell today.
And its importance today is just immense. I mean, the basic words we use every single day, man, woman, house, bread, that's all from Old English. Its themes of heroism, of that struggle against a really harsh fate, are totally timeless. And of course, most famously, it was the direct inspiration for authors like J.R.R. Tolkien. He was a professor of Old English who took the poets, the monsters, and the whole mood of this lost world and used it to build Middle-earth.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? The Anglo-Saxons had no idea that their poems, handed down in just 4 fragile little books, would survive a whole millennium to inspire us. So kind of leaves us with one last question. 1,000 years from now, what pieces of our culture, what stories that we're telling today, will be the ones that actually last?